Yes, Kenya. Tamu sana, yes, tamu sana. Yes. There is this notion and perception, specifically among Tanga supporters and their leaders, led by Dennis Itumbi. There is this wide perception that they keep on propagating, that Uhuru is scheming to weaken Raila Amolo Odinga. And according to some of them, they believe that at the right time maybe, or at the opportune moment, Uhuru will just betray Raila Amolo Odinga. Yes. That's a feeling among some of Tanga leaders and their supporters. But what they are not telling people is that Uhuru will betray Raila for who? Will he betray Raila Amolo Odinga for William Ruto, or for Kalonzo Musyoka, or for Gideon Moi, or Wetangula, or Mudavadi? That's what they are not telling Kenyans. But if you sit down and think critically and look at this thing properly, Uhuru can only betray Raila Amolo Odinga if he has a better candidate, somebody who can easily win presidential election next year if he's supported by the president. I believe that's the only available option that can make the president betray Raila Amolo Odinga. But looking at the current political circumstances today in Kenya, who do you think is that Uhuru can support that can win an election, if not maybe Raila Odinga or William Ruto? I think you will largely agree with me that only maybe Raila and William Ruto can win the presidential election next year if supported by the president. That's a fact. So if you look at the Handshake team, Gideon Moi, from where I sit, and I've always maintained in this YouTube channel, that if Uhuru had the powers of making Gideon Moi the president, then he could have done that willingly and very readily. But the perceived mountain split, the perceived split on the mountain, the game of vote, the perceived split is actually making it very, very hard for President Uhuru Kenyatta to do exactly that. It's making it very hard for him to do that. But Gideon, from where I sit, was initially his preferred heir for the presidency. And also I largely believe that another factor that actually contributed to the split between Uhuru and Ruto is largely because of the Gideon Moi factor. So if you look at the Handshake team, because we know even that if Uhuru Kenyatta was to endorse Gideon Moi, where is Gideon Moi going to get the votes to win a presidential election? Because as of now, the game of vote that the President Uhuru Kenyatta could have used to propel a Gideon Moi presidency seems to be slippery. So Uhuru Kenyatta needs a leader who already has a good support of his own. And that leader comes out to be Raila Amolo Odinga, not even Kalonzo or Musalia Mudavadi. Because again with Kalonzo Musyoka, assuming Uhuru is to betray Raila and then he supports Kalonzo, I also feel that's also a very remote possibility. Simply because Uhuru's main mission is not to make Kalonzo president. His main mission is to make Gideon Moi president. But simply because Gideon Moi is too weak to win an election, it forces President Uhuru Kenyatta now to look for the best, the strongest candidate among these handshake principles. And that strong candidate is not Musalia Mudavadi, is not Wetangula, Gideon or even Kalonzo. It's Raila Amolo Odinga. That is a fact. Yes. So as Tanga leaders or Dennis Itumbi and their team are saying that Uhuru is weakening Raila. He's weakening Raila for who? In order to support who? I think they are just trying to say, they are just trying to perpetuate this narrative because actually they strongly believe that in the event Uhuru throws his weight behind Raila, then their goose is cooked. They know they can't win the election. So they are trying to portray that now Raila is the weakest candidate here. That's the candidate we want to face at the ballot. Uhuru is playing Raila simply because they fear this man. That is the truth. So, ladies and gentlemen, the perceived split on the mountain, I strongly believe, is making it very, very hard for Uhuru Kenyatta to actually betray Raila Molo Odinga. And it's making it hard this way. Assuming today Uhuru Kenyatta wakes up to support Gideon Moi, where is Gideon Moi going to get the votes? Because the mountain vote that Uhuru could have used is a little bit slippery. So with that split on the mountain vote, where is Gideon Moi going to get the votes? What about Kalonzo Musyoka? Because assuming again he supports Kalonzo Musyoka, or even Musalia Mudavadi, or even Wetangula, it simply means that Raila's vote, the vote basket that Raila commands, is now out of that equation, out of that basket. And some times back, in this YouTube channel, I did analyze the true figures, the true numbers that Kalonzo Mudavadi brought to Raila Odinga, and what also William Ruto gave to Uhuru Kenyatta. Kalonzo Musyoka in 2017 presidential election, the one that was annulled by the Supreme Court, Kalonzo Musyoka gave Raila about 900,000 votes. I'm saying that because I'm assuming that all the Kamba votes that Raila Odinga got from the three counties of Machakos, Kitui, and Makueni, he got them largely because of Kalonzo Musyoka. I'm assuming that. So I'm giving all the 900,000 votes that Raila got from the three counties of Ukambani, I'm attributing them to Kalonzo. And then in that election, in Western, Raila got about 1.3 million votes from Western. That is in the last 2017 election. So to be fair to Mudavadi, I'm assuming that half of that vote was because of Mudavadi, which I know might not be the case. So I give it 650,000 to Musalia Mudavadi. So a combination of Kalonzo and Musalia Mudavadi, in their strongholds, they gave Raila about 1.5 million votes. And then William Ruto gave Uhuru Kenyatta about 1.4 million votes. I'm also basing that argument that all the Kalenjin votes from Rift Valley, in all the Kalenjin-dominated counties in Rift Valley, Uhuru got them largely because of William Ruto. So I'm giving William Ruto all those votes, about 1.4 million votes. So if you add 1.4 million votes of William Ruto to about 1.5 million votes of a combination of Kalonzo and Mudavadi, it comes to about 2.9 million votes. So we round it off to about 3 million votes. So a combination of William Ruto, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Musalia Mudavadi, they start with about 3 million votes. And then again, we did analyze in this YouTube channel and came, or rather found out, that Raila himself starts with about 3.6 million votes. Raila himself. So, ladies and gentlemen, we did analyze and we found out that now a combination of Kalonzo, Mudavadi, and Ruto, they have about 3 million votes. And then if we give them half of the mountain vote, half of the mountain vote, they have about 5 million votes. Because the mountain votes in 2017 election, they had about 4 million votes. The ones who voted for Uhuru Kenyatta. So if you split that vote into two, and then you give them all to that combination of Ruto, Kalonzo, and Mudavadi combined, they have about 5 million votes. And then Raila, if you give him only half of the mountain vote, plus his votes in 2017 election, he has about 3, in fact, he has about 5.6 million votes. So we did analyze and we found out that Raila plus half of the mountain vote comes to about 5.6 million votes. Then Kalonzo Mudavadi and William Ruto plus half of the mountain votes comes to about 5 million votes. So you can see how it will be very hard for any combination to beat Raila Amolo Odinga in the event he's endorsed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. It will almost be very, very hard. So the split, or rather the perceived split on the mountain, is actually helping Raila Amolo Odinga. It's making Uhuru Kenyatta even now to support Raila Amolo Odinga if he never wanted to do that. But one thing I'm seeing here is that eventually maybe when everything is done now, when everything shall have been said and done, we might find Gideon Moi. Gideon Moi. We might find Gideon Moi being Raila's running mate next year. I know it looks as a very unpopular ticket, but you might just find Raila going for the presidency with Gideon Moi as his running mate. That's a possible possibility. I'm saying it's a possible possibility because Uhuru Kenyatta, his main interest, having studied all these things, he wants to position Gideon Moi to some closer to power so that Gideon Moi at one point can ascend to that presidency very, very easily. And he can only do that by having Gideon Moi maybe deputizing Raila Amolo Odinga. I strongly believe in that. And he's doing that because he cannot support Gideon Moi outrightly because of the perceived split of the mountain vote. If the mountain vote was solidly behind the president, then Uhuru Kenyatta would have just used that block of the Gamer vote to throw his weight behind Gideon Moi. Then he convinces Kalonzo or even Musalia Mudavadi, just one of them, and then maybe Gideon Moi will just be in State House. Yes. So the split on the mountain is actually a blessing in disguise to Raila Amolo Odinga. It's a blessing. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, if you've just bumped on this YouTube channel for the very, very first time, kindly subscribe and also give this video a like. Give it a like. To those who are watching us outside of Kenya for the very, very first time, drop a comment and let us know from which part of the globe you are also watching us from. And to our continued fans and subscribers, God bless you. God bless Kenya. Tamu sana. Tamu sana, yes, tamu sana.